Hello and welcome to the show, brought to you with the support of Mediaproxy. Now, if you're a regular visitor to KitPlus.com, you may have seen the vast array of industry articles on the website, and we're going to be looking at one such article today on something that we've probably all done at some point in our lives, and that's how to successfully buy at an auction. And of course, here we're focusing on AV and broadcast equipment.
Yeah, so we're delighted to be joined by Dan Main from CA Global Partners. Welcome to the show, Dan. So let's get to the bottom of why we might be seeing more auctions. The normal at the moment. We might think it's an obvious answer, but it's not always due to companies going under, is it?
No, that's right. Hi, Matt. Hi, Simon. Recently, we do seem to have seen more happening, but bearing in mind that we're probably significantly lower on the number of insolvencies in the UK and Europe historically. You can see a whole range of reasons. It could be equipment coming to the end of a lease, or sometimes falling out from the middle of a lease. It can be surplus equipment from a company for a range of reasons. It can be a rental fleet disposing of assets. They may have a policy to do it every 4 years, 5 years, or quicker if the technology is moving on. Or it can just be older and obsolete equipment.
So they can be quite scary things, auctions. What are the risks to buying equipment in this way, especially when, these days we might not be able to actually travel to see kit up close with COVID restrictions?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think a lot of people make assumptions about what the key risks of buying at auction are. And, it may be that you're going to buy something that doesn't work, or something that's been described as one thing or not. It's actually another. I wouldn't say that's the major risk for most people buying from reputable auctioneers. If you think about the situations we just described, most equipment is coming to auction. It's recently been in use prior to the auction process. It was just working. So it's pretty rare that actually the equipment is faulty. And most auctioneers would rather know and list that a piece of equipment is faulty as well. So yeah, I think nowadays in particular, that's less of a risky area. Most of it is knowing how to buy equipment at auction, knowing that it's not strictly the same as eBay, for instance. There are different ways that industrial auctions in particular run. And I think just being aware of some of these aspects is going to be the most important thing to not getting caught out.
Yes, it's probably important to say the auctioneer doesn't want to cause himself a problem. He's not deliberately doing it. So some people may dismiss buying auctions for those reasons, on experiences they've had or their friends or colleagues may have had in the past. What can they do now in today's environment to better that experience?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that you can probably look at. Nowadays, most online auctions will or should have a lot of photographs of the equipment. These are high quality photos, usually taken on a modern smartphone more often than a camera nowadays. But the detail there is generally enough for you to get a good idea of how the equipment has been treated. There should be usage features. It might be hours from a camera. You should be able to see whether a lens has been scratched or not. You might see if there's a flight case associated with it, so it's been, in theory, transported well and looked after as well. And if for any reason you want more information, you can always reach out to an auctioneer and ask them the question of it. There are some auctioneers who do specific kinds of equipment quite often, and for others, inevitably, this may be 1 or 2 broadcast auctions a year. So yeah, don't ever be afraid to reach out and say, look, I need this piece of information, and they usually will be happy to help.
In your article, Dan, you mentioned the 3 key aspects people should be aware of. Can you give us a rundown of those?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there are 3 things that tend to catch people out. And if you're looking at the complaints, and you can see trust reviews online, for instance, of where people have been unhappy with an auction, often comes into 3 areas. Number 1 is the charges. The charges should be pretty clear, but the main one I would say is what's usually called a buyer's premium. So if an asset sells, for example, for £1,000 and the buyer's premium is 20%, you're going to pay the auctioneer £1,200 plus any VAT, any local taxes on top of that. So I think that's important to be aware of. You want to factor that in. Number 2 is transport. You're not going to buy it, put in your address, and then have it arrive on your doorstep a few days later, or not in most cases. Usually you're responsible for transporting the items yourself. It may not be packaged in a way that means it's suitable for transport, so you might not just be able to send a courier to pick it up. You want to look at how you can remove it, and that will usually be in the auctioneer's terms and conditions, as in can I come and pick it up and carry it out of the building myself, or is there a pretty strict process? And obviously COVID has made a big difference to that process now. There are things that you have to go through and processes we put in place. And then another key feature is these are operating facilities, often where equipment wasn't just coming in and out all the time. If something's on the 5th floor and it's particularly heavy item, then you're going to be the one who needs to figure out how to get it out of there more often than not. Again, the auctioneer will help you and assist you with that, but you want to make sure you're aware of those kind of things before you arrive, and you've got to carry it down 5 flights of stairs. And I've seen that happen, unfortunately. Some buying a sofa and turning up on your own and trying to figure it out from there. So the third one, also important, I'd say, is timing. And it's a bit more about how you generally view the process of purchasing items. Auctions are great, they happen all the time, but it tends to be opportunistic. I wouldn't say, in this industry at least, that you could go out and plan to procure all of your equipment from auctions. So you need to be aware that, you're going to want to go into an auction ideally with flexibility in mind. And if you see something that you're going to be able to make use of, then you can pick it up. But if you're going in there with very specific ideas and plans, then not only are you unlikely to find it, but also if you have an urgent need for something, there are things that can slow down the process. And, like I said, with arranging transport, you need to be aware that if you're imminently needing something, you may not be able to get it as quickly as you would like.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's very easy to get caught up in the process of winning an item on the day. You're there, you're sitting at your desk, you're clicking, click, click. Oh, I've got to get it. What's the best way to set your price? What is there sort of best practice, or is it just simply willpower? Set a price and stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, as an auctioneer, I'm tempted to say don't hold back and just go for it. But speaking from the buyer's perspective, it's about setting a price and sticking to it and trying not to get caught up in it. Factoring in, of course, the charges, working back. If you're wanting to pay £1,200 for it, it's 20% buyer's premium, then only bid up to 1,000. It is going to come down to willpower. I would say the nature of auctions as well, it's useful to know and have some experience with auctions. Don't be afraid to hold back. If there's duplicates of the same item, 5, 10, 15 of them, in general, we see that the first one will go for more money, certainly than the last one and the next few. So be aware that you might be better off holding back a bit so that you get a bit more of a reasonable price when the frenzy is over.
Yeah, good advice. So should we finish off, Dan, with just a summary of your key points, your top tips?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, importantly, it is in most auctioneers' interest, as we said, to list items correctly, truthfully. They're not in the business of defrauding people. A lot of them are operating effectively with the same kind of customer service levels as a store. Don't be afraid to reach out to them and talk to them about items. Scour the lot listings, look at all the photos, make sure you're aware not only of all the details of the lots that you're bidding on, but then secondly, go through and look at all the terms, all the transport arrangements, so that you know the arrangements for actually picking these items up. Be aware of the charges. In full, it's usually going to be buyer's premium, but check there's nothing else going on there. Have your transport planned and ideally costed in advance of before you buy something. Make sure that you're flexible, go in there with an open mind. And if you do, we like not to pretend that this happens, but people still get fantastic bargains when they're buying at auction. People make incredible saving on the new price, and a lot of people do it successfully. day in, day out, all around the world. And it's a great way to get sometimes very high tech, very modern, professional equipment that you wouldn't see coming to market in any other way.
So, last thing before we let you go, then, because we think you've got an auction coming up in February, haven't you? Are you able to share some of the highlights of that kit, of what's on offer?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting selection of equipment. So we've got a few cameras. We've got Arri Alexas, SXTs, Alexa Minis. We've got some Panasonic 4K integrated cameras, the ones that we see sitting on the shelves of reality TV shows. We've got a range of lenses, Canon, Cooke, some Fujinons. We've got primes, super prime, anamorphic lenses. It's quite an unusual selection of equipment. It's quite late. We're looking at 2017, 2018 assets. The auction's due to close on the 24th of February from 3 p.m. onwards. And the lots, if they're not already up by the time this video goes out, they should be up pretty soon. And this is all ex-lease equipment as well. This has come direct from lessors, and I think that's, I would argue, a measure of quality and one of the reasons that it's late model.
Well, we'll stick a link in the description where people can go straight to that, Dan. And I'm sure people will be getting emails from KitPlus alerting them, no doubt, of when the bidding starts. So thanks for watching. Thanks very much for Dan for coming on the show. And to see all of our video interviews and kit reviews, then head over to KitPlus.com, which is brought to you with the support of Mediaproxy. And you can find more about them at Mediaproxy.com. Thanks for watching.